Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this, a caption from the desk of Ali Akhmedov Promotions. Balausa Muzdiman is one of the shining stars of Kazakh boxing, and she will come to the ring on September 5th and give an impressive fight to the audience. Balausa is the fighter that 2 fights ago in April boxed on the undercard of a nomad promotion in Kazakhstan headlined by Yanibek Alamkhanalai, the female fighter best described as a cross between Olivia Munn and Megan Fox. Sprinkle a little Gennady Golovkin on top. She's Olivia Munn and Megan Fox with boxing gloves, great boxing acumen, over 8 fights and 6 knockouts, toggling in between the super flyweight division and the bantamweight division. Last in action in June, she fought 3 times last year, and she's already fought 2 times this one, set for a 3rd next month, and maybe even a 4th if she makes short work of her opponent, whoever it is. The fight itself is not yet registered on BoxRec, so we don't yet know who she's going to be fighting, but who she has been fighting. I mean, it's about what you expect from a fighter with only 8 professional bouts. I will give Balausa credit that the vast majority of fighters that she has fought so far have all had winning records. More victories than losses, and the ones who didn't were debutantes. She fought a debutante in her pro debut back in 2017, and another right after that. That already sets Balausa Muzdiman apart from a lot of other girls just starting out. Usually they're facing gatekeepers and journeywomen with upside-down records, more losses than wins. With Balausa, it's the opposite. The vast majority of girls she fought had winning records, toggling in between 118 and 115. There's only one fighter with all the alphabet titles at bantamweight, and that's Shernika Johnson, who recently won them all in her dominant win over Sharita Metcalf. I don't really know if we can call her undisputed, because Dina Thorsland is still this division's lineal Ring Magazine champion, and she never lost it in the ring. She never lost at all. She took a momentary leave to give birth to a second child, but, unfortunately she miscarried. Still, I don't know that we can refer to Shernika as undisputed on that premise, though in any event, she has all the alphabet titles, so if Balausa hopes to fight for one, she has to fight her, and at just 8-0, I don't think she's ready for that. I think there are more areas of opportunity at 115, so long as she can make 115. There are 4 separate champions at Superfly, some more beatable than others, some more experienced, some a lot older. The talent pool is a lot more diverse there, and thus it yields more areas of opportunity for Balausa, so long as she can make it, because like I said, she moves up and down. She toggles from Superfly to Bantam, 27 years old. Really not a big woman, so maybe she can still get down there and fight for a belt there. I think that a fight with Jasmine Artiga, for example, is more winnable than a fight with Shernika, or a fight with Mizuki Hiruta, who has about as many fights as Balausa. Irma Garcia, who's getting on in age. She is in her early 40s. The other thing about Balausa is, given where she's been fighting, she has very limited exposure to the big boxing markets in either the United Kingdom or the United States, Mexico, and parts of Central America. This is a fighter that is flying very much under the radar, even by women's boxing standards. Balausa Muzdiman is a fighter with next to no visibility, and the only way for her to get it isn't simply by fighting and fighting on a regular basis, but by fighting in world title eliminators and getting in position to fight for a world title so she can reach an international stage, an international audience, because so long as the situation stays the same, she can be as talented as she wants to be and easy on the eyes. Nobody's gonna see her. She has to fight in world title eliminators, whether it's at 115 or 118. Not being critical of her team and her management, by the way, because so far they're doing a fantastic job of keeping her active. She fought 2 times in 2023, 3 times in 2024, and she's set to fight 3 more this one. So they're on the right track. They're doing things the right way. But as she steps up and becomes more experienced, they have to make it a point to fight in those world title eliminators. And you know which world titles I'm talking about. The major 4, the WBA, the WBC, the WBO, and the IBF. Not the WBF and not the IBO. Because there are other lesser-known sanctioning bodies, and holding one of their titles counts for nothing. You may as well have no title at all. She's got to fight in world title eliminators via the major 4. Pick a direction and go in it. In the direction of where the familiar names and familiar faces are within the established boxing markets, because Balausa's actually good. She's more than just the pretty face. She's not a gimmick fighter. This fighter can really go. She can really fight. I've seen her. I wouldn't be talking about her now if she were just a pretty face. Set to return to action next month on the 5th against an opponent that has yet to be announced, and we'll see who that opponent is and what they bring to the table as news develops.
Reports come out last night of Sebastian Fundora taking on potentially Keith Thurman. As well with that, I guess what's the situation with Virgil Ortiz Jr., who's obviously the interim champion as well at 154?
Well, Virgil had a hand surgery. We have been patient and waiting for him to report his status. In the meantime, Fundora is going to fight a tremendous, timeless fighter like Keith Thurman as well, and we'll see how it goes. It looks like a very good card.
So the story is that yet another medical impediment in the career of Virgil Ortiz is holding him back at 147. It was those bouts with rhabdomyolysis, now at 154. Seems to be a hand injury and subsequent hand surgery that has kept him from challenging Sebastian Fundora. Virgil has been the WBC's interim champion as of August of last year when he fought Sergey Boachuk. And at that time, Sebastian was already WBC champion. Sebastian won the belt in March, and Virgil became interim champion months later in August. And from the time that Virgil became interim champion, I haven't seen either him or Golden Boy Promotions put any pressure on Sebastian Fundora to face Virgil. Now, I'm going to assume that the injury that he suffered in the Israel Madrimov fight the following year, and that's all well and good. But even then, I don't see Team Ortiz or anybody at Golden Boy putting pressure on Sebastian to fight Virgil. That is, I don't even see it mentioned as a conversation. We've heard more about Virgil Ortiz versus Xander Zayas. That's been more of a conversation than anything involving Virgil and Sebastian, when by all rights, that should be the hot button topic. So as it stands, Sebastian is being allowed to keep busy with Keith Thurman, who Mauricio Suleiman, president of the WBC, likened to a timeless fighter? That's one way to describe him. One fight with Brock Jarvis at 154, and he's being afforded a world title opportunity, having not fought a legitimate 154. The World Boxing Council has no standards and no real structure. They make the rules up as they go along, mandate fights whenever they feel like it, and don't mandate fights. They do what they want. They want to let Keithy fight for Sebastian's WBC title because Virgil is supposedly out injured and set to return sometime in the fall. But that's the thing. Sebastian's fight with Keith Thurman is set to go down in the fall, and Virgil Ortiz's ring return is set to go down in the fall. In that way, they're on the same schedule, so it should be them fighting each other. That even if Virgil got injured after the Madrimov fight, he's still on the same schedule as Sebastian. There is something to be said about all of this. I don't think Virgil and his team and his promoter are pushing hard enough to fight for a title. At the same time, when it comes to Sebastian, you're choosing to stay busy with Keith Thurman. What's wrong with that? Why didn't you try to unify titles with Bakram Murtazaliev?
Why didn't you try to fight him? He's there, he's available, he's unbeaten, he's got a belt like you've got a belt. Why not him?
You know why? It's very obvious why. Bakram Murtazaliev is not anybody's first choice. Why roll the dice for an extra belt with Bakram, who might beat you, when you have an old-timer with a receding hairline and Keith Thurman, who you can pounce on?
Back over to Virgil.
It's unfortunate, because Virgil is a good fighter with a halfway decent resume. He actually is. But it's unfortunate that Virgil didn't get to fight for a title at 147, and doesn't seem like he's about to at 154. They're saying he's gonna come back in the fall.
Don't forget, before news broke of Fundora versus Thurman, there were talks of Ortiz versus Thurman. That's who Golden Boy wanted him to come back with. Keith Thurman. Now that we know Keithy may be fighting Sebastian, who is Virgil gonna fight?
What that also means is if everything would have went according to plan, you still weren't gonna fight for a title. You've had that interim title for a year!
Still weren't gonna use it for nothing.
And of course, the WBC and Mauricio Suleiman will allow it because if Virgil has an interim and Sebastian has the full one, you get to collect sanctioning fees from the both of them. So it works out beautifully for you.
I'll bet.
You know, I'm starting to wonder if Virgil is ever going to fight for a title, a full title, at this weight. Does it really matter to him? Or is he going to end up moving to a third weight class before he actually sees himself crowned a world champion?
There was a debate 2 or 3 weeks ago about who's got the better resume, Xander Zayas or Virgil Ortiz.
I think that most people would say Virgil has the better resume. He does. I don't think by much. But bear in mind, you're talking about a 27-year-old's resume versus a 22-year-old.
Xander is only 22 years old, and he's already a world champion.
Even if his resume isn't on par with Virgil Ortiz's, is it supposed to be? He's only 22.
Virgil's 27. That's close to 30, guys.
More needs to be done to put Virgil Ortiz in a world title fight, and that's the bottom line. I noticed that about a lot of Golden Boy Promotions fighters. They'll get them fights, they'll keep them active, but they're just fighting to fight.
Aimlessly.
Listen, I get a lot of texts asking how I'm doing, how camp is going, so I figured I could just put it up in one post. So I'm in the mountains. This dude's about to beat the brakes off Canelo and be the greatest boxer of all time, and I get to play a part in it. All is well, truly well. We good. I'm good. I'm real good.
This strong statement from Terence, Crawford's strength and conditioning coach, has been doing the rounds on social media. How to best react to it? Well, I mean, he must be feeling very confident with what he's seeing if he thinks that Terence is going to beat the brakes off of Canelo Alvarez. Canelo, who's never been knocked out.
He's never even been knocked down in over 60 professional bouts with better quality of competition than Terence's quality of competition. Not to say that Terence doesn't have a good resume. I think he does. But Canelo's is even better.
So when I say the guy's never been knocked out and never been knocked down, that's really saying something. There is also tooting your own horn to consider that as Terence Crawford's strength and conditioning coach, Terence's performance on the night will be a reflection of the work that he's done with his strength and conditioning coach. Guy's not going to get up there and say, you know, I'm really scared, Canelo hits really hard, heard he's got a big cock. What do you expect to see when a strength and conditioning coach takes to social media? Positive reinforcement for a positive outlook. I mean, that's what you expect.
What do you expect him to say?
The uniqueness of these circumstances makes Terence Crawford's plan of action a mystery to me. Now, some people feel that this could be his last fight. And because this could be his last fight, he might just go in there and try to survive. Like Edgar Berlanga and Jermel Charlo and William Skull more recently.
That's what I've seen some people say. But then you look over at Terence's strength and conditioning coach and, you know, what he's saying, that Terence is going to beat the brakes off of Canelo. You do wonder if that's not an insight into their plan of action, that Terence doesn't plan on running.
And that's why he's saying that the plan is to take it to Canelo, which I think would surprise a lot of people. The older, smaller fighter moving up in weight, taking it to the champion. At minimum, he's got to know that running doesn't work. Running from Canelo and surviving will not secure the victory. It didn't work for Edgar, it didn't work for Jermell or William Skull. Running won't work for you, so if you want to win, you gotta do something else.
If you want to win.
Terence is a dog. He always has been. He's been a dog at 135, at 140, at 147, and at 154. He's not a Sugarfoot fighter.
When I hear people talk about this fight, it's almost like they're talking about another Terence Crawford, a different one, because Terence is not a runner and Terence is not a Sugarfoot fighter.
He's a dog. He's the kind of guy that if you land hard and you land clean, he wants his lick back, and he wants it back immediately. Perhaps that's why it's hard for me to imagine what his plan is, what he's gonna get in there and do. How does he mean to win? This is not Errol Spence Jr., you know. This ain't as Rael Madrimov either.
I don't have as hard a time thinking about what Canelo's gonna do, what his plan is gonna be. I imagine he's gonna bear down on Terence Crawford, keep him under pressure, draw his lead, and counter.
Counter out of the mid guard, counter out of the high guard, catch and counter, slip and counter, roll and counter. I imagine that Canelo's gonna put pressure on Terence by marching forward, tucked behind that guard, working off the counter. Canelo's plan of action doesn't seem like much of a mystery, but Terence, and for Terence to win, I mean, what does he gotta do? It's not an easy answer. These are unusual circumstances. A smaller, older fighter moving up in weight, having not fought in a year, and not fighting just anybody, you know.
Fighting the number one, the numero uno, the undisputed champion at this weight.
With no tune-ups in between, no real chance to acclimate to the weight, to feel what the power up there is like and whether or not you can handle it. That would make Terence a thrill seeker, and he strikes me as a thrill seeker. At this stage and at his age, the danger, maybe that's what gets him out of bed. Maybe that's what really makes him focus up, that this is a guy could beat him.
Might beat you.
It's no shame in Terence losing to Canelo under these circumstances. In many ways, he's supposed to, at least on paper. It's more of a shame if Canelo loses.
Because he has all the advantages, and I've been all over that.
Every advantage you can think of. Not only is Canelo the proverbial A-side, but he's the bigger man. He's been at this weight much longer. He's got the better resume. He's fought the better fighters.
He's younger.
He's been active in the last 12 months. Terence Crawford hasn't. That, on paper, Canelo should win. I still haven't seen how the odds makers have it. Do they have Canelo as the favorite? I imagine they do.
They should.
Surmising Terence Crawford's strength and conditioning coach's comments that Terence is going to beat the brakes off Canelo. That could be based on what he's seeing from Terence in camp, or that could just be positive reinforcement. Putting it out there in the universe, hoping that it happens. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't actually know what Terence's plan is. These are unusual circumstances for a fight, but normally,
good big man beats an equally good little man.
When Mikey Garcia jumped up 2 weight classes for Spence, Spence won. When Kell Brook jumped up 2 weight classes for Gennady, Gennady won. And when Amir Khan jumped up 2 weight classes for Canelo, Canelo won.
It was the same with Jermell, too.
Canelo won. So when Terence Crawford falls in line with that line of thinking, and that's what he's about to do, the feeling is Canelo should win.
So it usually goes.
I'm excited. I'm intrigued, because I really don't know what Terence Crawford is going to do.